Okay, all right. So I'm going to wait a little bit before I start talking about this, just to make sure the audio is like synchronized and all that shit. Okay, so I'm going to make it very clear. I am not against marriage. I am not against people being married. I don't care. But I am not stupid. I realize and I understand how and why marriage does not make a lot of sense. Okay, I'm going to break this down to you very simply. Why do people feel the need to let a lot of people who will not be in your marriage know that you're married? Why do people feel the need to tell the world that you are in fact married? There's a lot of things about marriage that simply do not make any sense. Right? Like you buy a ring, right? That's what you do when you get married. So why do y'all think that buying a wedding ring and being married with a ring is supposed to automatically make people care more just because they spent money on a ring or something like that? Like, how is that supposed to make everything else about being married make more sense or be the right thing, etc.? And I'll give an example, right? Just to sit down and agree on the wedding ring and the ceremony, and then act as if the person you did all these things with was the right option. Because there's so many people who get married and they don't even really commit to each other. They don't even really love each other like marriage is supposed to be. There's all these people who they get married and it's just, we say the vow, we say the thing, and we come back home, you know what I mean? Like this, that's what it is to some people. Okay, so my controller is a little fucked. It's just pressing shit for no reason. But there's stuff about marriage where if you guys were doing real marriage, just the criteria alone, if it was real marriage criteria, there's very specific things that you all would do. And I'm going to break it down to you, right? Because here's the thing. Let's say you were going to get married to somebody, and instead of just going in front of a preacher, a priest, people who you don't even know if they really believe in marriage their own self, all you know is that they're trying to get that paycheck from your marriage, right? People who you might not even be religious, and you have to go to the priests. So imagine if to get married you had to get a tattoo on your face. Like that would honestly make more sense. You get half the tattoo, and the person you marry get the other half of the tattoo. Bro, the board just ran into the wall over there. But anyways, so you get half the tattoo, and the person you married gets the other half of the tattoo. That would make more sense and be a bigger commitment than just being like, "Hello, guys, we're getting married today, and we need a bunch of people who we actually don't know that much to come to this marriage." Because some people's marriages break up so quickly, there's no way that you all know each other that much, right? And it's like, if you guys had to get half and half of a tattoo on each other's face, there's other things that would come along with that. Like, people would know when they see you, like, oh yeah, you're married. You can just take off a wedding ring, right? Like imagine having a wedding ring, something you can just take off, something that you could just say, oh, this is a friendship ring, right? It's so dumb, right? Being married, every criteria and rule around it is actually very low IQ. Because what I'm talking about, people do this all the time. People pretend like they're not married while being married all the time for multiple reasons. So, let's say you get married, right? And you had this tattoo on your face. People would look at you and instantly know, like, oh, you're married. On top of the fact that you could have more interesting decorations than you can with a wedding ring if you got a face tattoo and you got a half and half of this tattoo on each other's faces. Like, you'd have half of your name and then have the other half on the other person's face, and then it could be both of your names above each other and below each other, right? And then whenever one of the people die, you could put R.I.P. So it's like you're prepared to still care. But when you're married and you get a wedding ring and someone dies, still people still wondering like, hey, are you married? You're like, oh no, the other person's dead. Right? Like, I'm not aware if this is a rule within marriage or not. You're not like told that now you have to wear both rings, right? Like, there's no people have not accounted for when you die what goes on with the wedding rings. A lot of people just take them off. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like no one cares about that part of the marriage. But if you had tattoos on your face, theoretically, you're already thinking about whether or not the person dies. You would want people to remember, like, oh yeah, I was married to the person with the other half of this tattoo. Right? Like, it's actually more of a commitment, theoretically speaking, what I'm talking about. It's way more of a commitment than just sitting down. God damn, look at that combo. But anyways, it's way more of a commitment than sitting down and being like, oh, we went to a preacher, we got this ring here. We said some things, we had our families there. Right? It's like, if you really wanted a real ceremony, a real commitment-based agreement, it would make a lot more sense to get these face tattoos that I'm talking about. Because it would literally be a commitment that you couldn't just back out of. Like, you already had it. You already had the tattoo. You can't just back out of this. Right? So in reality, if you're not willing to get a face tattoo, like, do you really want to marry somebody? Like, if you're not willing to get a face tattoo for somebody, are you really willing to be with them for the rest of their life? Like, and I'm not saying that you should do this. I'm saying theoretically, if this was how we did marriage, this would be more of a commitment. And it would make more sense. Because with normal marriage, people can lie about the marriage too, since it's just a wedding ring. You know what I mean? You're not going to have a marriage ceremony every single day, right? And then you have where you have to whatchamacallit, legalize the vow and stuff. But everyone's not going to go look up if you have a marriage certificate and all that shit. Everyone's not about to put all that time into that. No one cares that you're married, for one. There's a reason the whole world is not at anyone's marriage. No one gives a fuck, right? So it's like when you come down to the point that I'm making here, it's like marriage is a low IQ thing, in my opinion. It makes no sense. Like, just because you've married somebody doesn't mean that you're always going to love them. Like, they could be a shitty person, genuinely, and they just pretended until you got married. And with the face tattoo, yeah, you could still be a shitty person. But that's not what this conversation is about. It's about how much of a joke getting married and the rules around getting married actually are. The rules around it actually don't make any sense. And for me, when I was younger, I always thought it was weird. Like, if you care about someone, why do you need to get married to let the other people know that? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. If we see you together, we're going to know, like, oh, maybe they care about each other to some capacity. So why do you have to get married for us to know that? Like, when I'm out with somebody, people aren't like, oh, are you married? They're just like, hey, look at those two people together. They're cool. Don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, so the idea that we don't need to get married, it's like, the reality is that these are ceremonies and things that, like, kings and queens and shit used to do. And people just put this shit on everybody as if it's salt or some shit, and we're making a little pretzel. Like, that's what that's what this is like. It's like, really. Because it actually makes no sense. It actually makes no sense to have marriage such a big part of society. All these people struggling to hold marriages together for what? All these people who get married and don't like it, for what? Why? Like, you couldn't be in the relationship without being married? It's almost as if people want you to have commitment problems. They want you to be trapped into something. Because they're like, you know what, I don't believe that you guys are happy. You need to do something to prove You need to do something to proof that you're happy together. Right? It's like that's why if you got a face tattoo, it would be the ultimate. It would be the ultimate testament. His half says hell, and my half says oh. And then you're like, why you got a hell on your face? And then you look at her and it says, oh, and you're like, oh. I just thought of that. That was funny. But anyways. So let's say you're doing this marriage thing, right? There is also another way. There's also another way to prove that like your commitment made sense and all of that shit. Like let's say you brand each other. The bride and the groom have to both get branded, and your family doesn't get to come. Because in reality, right, when you're getting married, your family doesn't know the person you married. Your family doesn't really know. Sometimes people's family barely know them. So, like your family has no real commitment to the person that they married, other than allowing you to be with them, and that's not even them allowing you to be with them because you're not your family's property. Right? So when it comes down to it, if you were to get married and the requirement was that you get held down, right? And both of your faces get branded with the same branding, that would be a bigger commitment. You know why? Because you would have to sit there and bear that with the person that you're married with. You would have to sit through that together as a couple. You would have to do it. And not a lot of people are like, yeah, let's fuck up each other's faces permanently with a big burn mark brand because we're married. Like no one's going to sit there and commit to doing that for someone they don't care about. So let's say you do this, right? There would have to be other requirements, right? Like let's say everyone who you invite to the wedding has to be people who liked you for more than just friendship. And this one time, while you and your wife are while you're pinned down and you're about to get branded, everyone can, like ejaculate onto you, just a bunch of a bunch of women and men, everyone who's liked you, and they're going to admit it, right? Like this one time, they get to do it. And they just get to do it on you and your wife. And the whole point of this is because who's really losing when two people get married? The people who wanted them, right? So, so you do this, right? You do this. Both of you. Both of you come together and you do this, and then you get your face branded. all of these things are a more real commitment than getting a wedding ring. Like all of these things that I'm saying for people to do with each other, do together, these are things that if you had to do it with someone, you probably wouldn't be like, nah, we're not married anymore in like a year. And if you did, now everyone else who you might want to marry afterwards is going to see your face and be like, "Whoa, bro, you got branded to that other guy. You got branded to that other woman, and you're not with them anymore. I'm not getting branded with you." So it's like this would, if people did this instead of our current low intelligence, stupid version of marriage, you would automatically make it easier for people not to marry people who aren't good at being married. And people who don't really want to be married won't be committing to marriage. Can I go up this ladder? Oh, I never seen that ladder as well. I mean, I've seen it, I never tried that. But anyways. So,
And for the love of it.
everything that people do, right? You would know, like, oh, this person's been married before. They have this tattoo on their face. They have this branding on their face. I see a little gum stuck in the branding. So a lot of people wanted them. They gave up on a lot of people, and they're not even with the person they got branded with. It's like, yeah, I don't want this guy. I don't want this woman. It would be the ultimate way to weed out the people who are not good for marriage. It would be the ultimate way to weed out all of the people who you probably shouldn't marry them. And there wouldn't be any like blowback on it either, because people would love to know who they probably shouldn't marry. I know I would love to know who I probably shouldn't marry. Right? Like, I wouldn't want to marry someone who we're supposed to be doing this big commitment to each other. And you can see all over their face the burn marks, the tattoos, all of their failures. Like, imagine having someone who has like 5 face tattoos, 5 face brandings. Like, you wouldn't want to be marrying that person. Like, you would be literally the talk of the town, because like, oh, you're with the guy who has like 6 brandings on his face and 4 tattoos. You know what that means, right? You're probably just going to add another tattoo to his face. Like, you're like, why would you date that guy? Why would you marry that guy? Right? Right? It's like this, like what I'm explaining here. Like, this is why marriage now is just a joke. Because there's no real rules around it. You don't need to fully commit. If you do commit to somebody, it's already sort of a joke. Because here's the thing, like, if you actually love someone, why do you need to get married? Like, if you actually care about someone and they're the person you want to be with for the rest of your life, why do you have to be married to know that? Does it make a difference? So the point that I am making here, right, is that I've always known since I was little, like, marriage is stupid. Right, I remember when people talked about marriage, I would ask them questions and they couldn't answer the fucking questions about it because they were stupid. And at the time, this was full-blown adults who couldn't answer fucking questions, and I wasn't even like double digits age yet. So when it comes down to marriage, like, I know no one is serious about this shit. Not even people with successful marriages. You know why? Because most of the time they're just doing the marriage because they're told to. They don't actually give a fuck about being married. They're like, well, I'm with the person that I like being with, so you know what I mean? Like it's actually kind of funny. Bro, why did I put this? Oh, I remember last time I fucking saved. But it's like you don't need to verify your marriage with the world. If marriage was real, there would be no reason to do that shit. Like, marriage is just a scam and is set up for economy based shit. And it was meant to be stuff for kings and queens and all this shit. So the reality is that no matter what you believe, marriage isn't real. Like, you have to actually be a moron to completely believe in marriage and think that it's this special thing. If you're not intelligent to understand that marriage is just a social agreement by now, like, you're an actual moron, and there's no debating that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what the fuck? I just went up the ladder. That's pretty lame. Alright, so like, if you completely believe in marriage, it's like, why? Like, do you think that you couldn't not cheat or commit to your kids and all of this stuff unless you're married? Like, it's really stupid at the end of the day. And like, that is a wild way to think. Like, oh, you know, it's not that serious, we ain't married or nothing. Like, that's retarded. What if you were married? You would just change all of a sudden? No. Like, a lot of the stuff that people believe in society is just because people got bored at one point. And because people wanted to copy kings and queens and shit. Like, which is, at least, like, that alone is a testament of how low IQ the human race is. Because it's clearly just shit people made up to copy kings and queens and all of that. And to keep, you know, some sort of economy type shit. And to, like, have control over people. And so, like, it's very clear that getting married and all of this isn't something that people would do naturally. People would just stay together, that's it. Like, look at the birds. Do birds need to be do birds need to be married to flock together? No. They form these big ass alliances where they're like, bro, you bring me food? All right, let's fly together. Like, that's how birds work. They're more intelligent than people when you really think about it. They're just like, oh, you know, you bring me food? Oh, did we have kids together? Okay, cool, let's stay together. My nest and your nest, let's just combine that. Right, like, even birds are smarter than people. And that's very sad, because people are the only creature that ever say that they're smarter than all the other creatures. People are the only creature that ever says that we're smarter than the other creatures. Every other creature doesn't give a fuck. You'll never catch a dog saying, I'm smartest dog. You know why? Because they can't. And the thing about it is, other animals don't even care about each other. Most other animals, the things that you do to annoy them will make them end the other animal's life So they know not to annoy each other. Like they just walk around not annoying each other. But people, they'll talk all this trash, think they're so great. I've seen people literally, while driving on the highway, start flipping each other off and honking horns. Like you dumb motherfuckers, you're driving a fucking how many tons is a fucking car? Like I think is like I don't even fucking know. Most cars are more than 1,000 pounds. You're driving around 1,000 pounds, and y'all dumbasses are having a horn honking argument while on the highway because someone might be driving a little too slow. Because someone sped up in front of you, like, okay. They don't give a fuck about their life. Now you're about to start honking your horn, bobbing your head because you're mad and shit over something so stupid. Like you realize when you're on the highway, you could take your focus off the wheel for just a few seconds and then crash. I've never driven a car, and I understand this better than some of the dumbasses that are driving all the time. Like if you take your focus off the wheel for even 2 seconds, you could fucking crash. And I'm not saying this from like just making it up. This is experience. I have seen people do that thing where you are driving and then all of a sudden someone cuts you off or something, and then you start cursing, and then you don't stop driving, but you slow down a little bit to honk the horn, to focus on honking the horn. Like this is an actual dangerous thing that I've seen people do while driving with them. Like they'll slow down just a tad bit. Not a lot. It's like literally maybe 1, 2, 3, 5 miles an hour that they reduce their speed of. But they do it to honk the horn. Like you could cause a crash just because of your being a dumbass. And this is something that people do. But we still think we're the smartest fucking creature on the fucking planet. Like imagine being that stupid. And that's why I talk about why this marriage stuff is so dumb. Because there's all these people not having good marriages. And people are like, "Oh, I'll just do better than them." Oh, you really think the reason why they had a bad marriage is because you're better than them? Like this is so fucking dumb. Or it's like y'all don't sit down and actually think about the reason why some people could have a bad marriage. Oh, maybe they didn't know each other that well. Maybe they were going a little too fast. Maybe they were just trying to be like their parents. Maybe marriage is not all that important. Those are not the things that y'all think about when y'all see like failed marriages. And it's really stupid. Because there's a lot of people who they see a failed marriage and they just think, you know, I think I could do a lot better. You know, that wouldn't be me. That wouldn't be me. Right? Like, it's like y'all don't sit down and contemplate like, why does this happen to them? Why are there so many failed marriages these days? No, people be like, well, my marriage is not going to be like that. It's like, and the thing is that it's wild that such a large percent of marriages fail because it's such an easy thing. Why get in a relationship with somebody who you don't actually understand them? And it's very easy to tell whether or not you actually understand a person or not. Like, what do you know about a person? Like what is it? What do you know about somebody? A lot of people with these failed marriages couldn't sit down and give you a list of things that they know about a person. Some people who fail these marriages couldn't even tell you whether or not the person cares about them. They can tell you how they feel about the person, though. You know how stupid you have to be to all you can do is tell people how you feel about someone you're with, and you think you'll be together forever? That's retarded as fuck, actually. And this isn't like me just making this up. There are a lot of people who the only thing they can do with the person they're married to is talk about how they feel about that person. They can't describe actual qualities of the person. There's actually a lot of people in full-blown marriages where they don't understand how the person really thinks. They don't know much about the person's early life. They don't know much about things that person wants to do, like next week. They don't know about things the person wants to do tomorrow. They couldn't tell you things that the person wanted to do, but they gave up on. Because, like, y'all don't be knowing the fucking people y'all be married to. It's wild, actually. And it's all because of social agreements and shit. Like, oh yeah, we need to get married at some point. Like, you know how dumb that is? That you'll ruin parts of your life for social agreements. As bafflingly stupid, actually. But that's just what I wanted to talk about with the marriage thing. Because I thought it was pretty funny. I thought there was some funny shit to talk about with marriage. And that's not like how I felt recently. That's just how I always felt since I was like 6. I had asked people about marriage. And the reason why I'd asked them, because I always thought it was stupid. Like, it makes no sense. Actually, it makes no fucking sense. Because people will be like, oh, you know, when you love each other and you get together and you're married, like, no, actually, when you love each other, you'll be together in despite marriage, right? Like, you'll be together even if you're not married. Like, you guys have such a skewed view of everything. Right? Like, if you love someone, money doesn't matter. Being married or not married doesn't matter. Because you actually love them, right? So, like, the idea that you'll need to be married to commit to somebody, like, that makes no sense. That's actually retarded. Like, it's actually full-blown retardation. To think that until you're married, you're not going to commit. Oh, until I'm married, I'm not going to stop being, you know, how I am. Like, this, like, these are very retarded requirements. Marriage is a very retarded requirement to, like, settle down and all these other things. Like, it is baffling. Like, if you're ever talking to someone and they're like, "Oh, well, I'll stop when I get married," you're talking to a full-blown retard. Like, that person is fully retarded. They probably do tons of shit that's dumb as fuck all the time, and they think it's funny. It's like, to really think that you should change or stop doing something or try harder once you get married, and not just so that you can be like, a decent human being, like, that's retarded. Actually. Now, with that being said, with all that being said, over the past 41 minutes, I'm not against marriage. Like, I don't really care. But I don't sit here and pretend like marriage makes sense. It doesn't. And I'll say it for the last time in this video, that if you actually were worth being married, you wouldn't be married. Because you would be with this person that you want to marry, and you just be together. The only way that the only way that I'm convinced that two people are married and they're actually happy to be married in reality, the only way I'm really convinced that two people are happily married is if they knew each other for a long time before they were married,
I hear you.
and it wasn't like they knew each other because of work or they knew each other because of blah blah blah. Right? It was like they decided to be together. They decided to waste time. Right? Like, you know how much you have to actually care about someone to, like, yo, fuck, bro, I'm just here wasting time. You wanna waste some time with me? Like, just, I think you. It's like those are the only people who could do that for years and years. Who I would ever be convinced that their marriage is like a real marriage. Everyone else, almost everyone else I've ever talked to about marriage, it always sounds like they're married because they needed money, or they're married because they needed a whatchamacallit, because they needed a stable person and they couldn't make enough money. You know what I mean? Because a lot of the time, a lot of the time, that's exactly what it feels. That's exactly what it sounds like. It sounds like people be out here just learning how to love the person. It's not actual love. It's more like, well, I had to learn how to really like this person, and I do like this person now, which isn't that bad if that works out for you. But in my opinion, that's not anything that marriage is actually about, especially not when people are advertising it to each other. Right? Like, people are advertising marriage as, this happily ever after bullshit. in reality is that people just have to stop advertising marriage as if it's, what your life is meant for. Because it's not that important. Getting married is not an important thing. Marriage is like one of the least important things in the entire existence of human race. It is actually less important than sex. Wait, where the fuck did it go? What? Didn't it just run in that direction? Okay, I am confused. But anyways, marriage is like one of the most least important things. Like, I'd say that random hookups is more important than being married. Because you could randomly hook up with someone and then like not be in a place where you would have gotten killed because you were fucking. Right? Like, being married doesn't do anything. It doesn't passively do anything. Just being married doesn't create any alternate realities or any circumstances where you might have been murdered tonight if you were just out alone, or just even sometimes there are people who their house got robbed, and you know what they went and did that day? They went and fucked somebody. That's why they weren't at the house when their house got robbed. Like, random hookups has a higher chance of saving your life than being married. Actually. Not even jokingly. Oh, it ran in a circle. That's what it did before. But the reality is actually random hookups has more value to your life than being married. Like, there's a lot of people who are married and like they're bored out of their fucking minds because their husband or their wife is always at work, and it's not that they don't work, it's that every time they're at home they're alone, and then they're at work, right? And the person they're married to is either at home or at work, and all they do is really work and maintain a house. That's all they do. So they're basically a landlord to nobody. And I think that this is why so many housing things are so shit. Because their relationships are shit, and then they treat the people who pay them for housing like shit. Because in reality, I think landlords and shit think of the people as like an extension of their family or some shit. I think they think of some of the people as like, oh well, we pay for your house to exist or whatever the fuck. When in reality, like, landlord shit and all of this different fucking shit is some of the most toxic fucking business that any moron monkey could ever come up with. Like, actually, to have people you have to pay so that you can continue to be in the place where you live. Fuck. So that you can continue to be in a place where you live. Like, that is an insane agreement. That's actually worse than marriage, because you don't even know the landlord. For all you know, your fucking landlord could be using all the fucking money that you give them on like OnlyFans or some shit, and that's why they're always trying to raise the price of a property that actually has never gone up in value since it was built. Because I don't understand how someone could justify raising the price of a building that hasn't gotten any bigger. There's not more rooms in the building. It's not any taller. Your house doesn't just magically get taller. It's not like they're going in your house and installing better air conditioning, and they're like, okay, so this will make all of your rent and shit go up by like $50 each month because we installed a state-of-the-art air conditioner into there. I mean, like, they're not giving you anything new to add to the building other than a new price. Like, it's actually insane. Right? Like, it's absolutely insane. Like, the thing is that there's actually enough money in the world, and these people have enough money to where they could be giving you something for you to then be like, oh yeah, I pay extra for my rent. It's just like with marriage. All the person marrying you is doing is being a person who also lives your life with you. So the idea that you need a wedding ring for this, like, why? Why not get the face tattoo? Why not get your face branded? Like, that would be like, oh, this person's committed to taking up space with me. Nice. But it's just a lot of shit about society in general, where it's like almost everything people do in society can realistically and logically be broken down into just people being fucking morons. Everything in society. There's not a single thing that you can't reduce to, hey, this is actually stupid. Oh my god, it doesn't change directions. Holy shit. And I hate that they did this, like, so awkward. Why the fuck does he go sideways when he fucking jumps? Oh god, I'm about to die. But it's just all this different stuff that is wild about people in general. Alright, like, it's all this different stuff about people that's just really wild. I'm going to see if I can still return this game. I mean, I like the story and stuff, but this game has very little play value. Like, this is literally the gameplay of this game. And you're supposed to enjoy this for hundreds of hours. Like, I really don't understand game developers these days, because I'm pretty sure anyone could playtest this and be like, yeah, if you told me I was going to be in a room all year and this was all I could do, I don't think I'd want to do it. Like, that should be the only question asked when people are testing video games. If you were in a room all year and this was all you could do you think that you want to be in that room all year? And, like, then they could say, okay, cool, so maybe we could add a few more things. Because the thing about it, this game actually, while it was being developed, it had potential. But after it was done being developed, this is all they could come up with, honestly. Honestly, bro. Because there's no combat here in terms of combos. This is the combos. We're all just tanking each other's damage. We're all just hyper tanks. Whoever has the most damage wins. And they clearly have the most damage. So I had to play it like this, or I would actually be dead. Right? Like it's a horrible game design at its core, literally. Not even figuratively speaking. The thing is that you only have like 7 days to refund the game. I think I've only had this game for like 5 days, or it's been a week already. Like I really don't remember time when I'm not focusing on time at all. Like I have no idea how long it's been since I got this game. But the sniper contracts game, holy shit! I've been having fun with that shit. And the thing is that it's one button you press, you just aim, you shoot. I have way more fun with that shit than this. I mean, the reason I would fucking be upset about selling this game, I mean, what is it called? Refunding this game is because the story is good, but this character is a little over sexualized. Like, look at that. I never seen a character where it is all like. Why would you even cut out the butt cheeks? You can't see it from here, so it's just stupid. But anyways, it's like all this stuff. It's like all this stuff about this game is just so stupid. Like it's not even fucking figuratively or in my opinion. No, like it's literally stupid. Like I thought there was combo potential in this game because they have videos where people make combos and shit. And, you know, they were doing interesting combos, and I like games where you do combos. But this game doesn't actually have combos. You have to try so fucking hard to do all these one button things, set of combos, and the combos that people come up with, those are the only combos that someone fucking has no life and sat down for hours perfecting so that they could make a compilation video. Because like you can't even do combos, these tanky motherfuckers, right? Like you have to literally use this spinny blade, or you can't get the fucking combos off. Because of how horrible this game set up. Like look at that, can't bring them in the air unless they're paralyzed. So there's only one way to do the fucking combo. So I have to literally do this. Right? And this is the only combo you can do. There's no other fucking combo. So it's like if you get tricked into thinking that these are great combos, like there's something wrong with you. Because the thing is that fucking the combos they have in the videos, those are much better. But you can only find a few combo videos, which should tell you something about the game automatically. That maybe it's not that good, but then you look up games like Devil May Cry, you look at all these different games, and people don't make many combo videos of those games either, but they make more than this game has. So it just becomes like, okay, is it worth playing through the story? No, the story's actually kind of a joke. Until it gets to the sad points. You know how easy it is to make a sad story, though? I could make up one right now. So, there was this guy. He met this woman. He really liked this woman. But she really wanted him to commit to her. So, she told him, if we get married, you need to come down to the church house with me. And the preacher said that we can't bring our family. He didn't know why she said that, but he agreed because he really loved this woman. So they were getting married at the church house, and she kept asking him, like, "Are you really willing to commit to me? Are you really willing to commit to me?" In like a really monotone voice. It was crazy. He loved it. He loved every second of it. 'Cause he really loved this woman. But then about 10 guys came out, and he was like, "Who are all these guys?" And she told him, "These are all of the guys that could make it out here that also love me. And I didn't give any of them the chance to come and get married. So, we're gonna have to do something." And he was like, "Okay, this is interesting. I'm honored that I made it through. I'm the guy that you wanted to marry. But like, what's the point?" And then she's like, "Bro, listen. I just told you. Don't make me speak again. I already told you." And then he was like, "Okay. I'll listen, babe. And then she just stopped talking, and it got really weird. It got like really weird because she just said that she was going to say what she was going to say, and then she comes back in the room after she leaves the room, butt naked, and he's like, "Okay, so there's all these guys here, like I don't get what's going on here." And then she tells him, "You got to take your clothes off too, and we're bringing the preacher." And then he's like, "Wait, so we're having an orgy with the preacher?" And he's like, "No." She tells him, "No. Are you crazy? I think you're crazy." And then the preacher brings out some cuffs, and he moves the podium, and there's some links, and he tells them to lay down. Both of them lay down, and they lay down, chained to these links, and then people just start coming with it. So, like, if you get my point, right? Well, this is a sad story because this guy got tricked into this shit. Just how people get tricked into marriage, right? So it's just this. It's just like it's easy to make a sad story. That is the point of what I'm talking about with that. Right? It's easy to make a sad story. So when game developers make a kind of sad story like this game did, it's not impressive at all, actually. You just put characters in situations that they didn't know was going to happen, and you make something bad happen to them. And boom, you have a sad story. That is all a sad story is. Right? Like this being designed for this poor level of game design, like that's a sad story as well. This is a game that's so bad, actually. Like, I got it on sale, so I might not be able to refund it for the amount of money that I, whatchamacallit, that I got it for. It was like $23. I might not even be able to get back the $23. But I don't really care. Because the thing is, I need space on my Xbox, right? So, it's going to be worth basically just paying for my space back. You know what I mean? Like, bro, what really annoys me is like the life steal in this game. It doesn't even work. Like, it only works on executions. So what that means is that you get micro heals until the end of your combo. And you get micro heals off of the fucking execution. And it's so dumb that you can't do two things at once. Devil May Cry already solved this problem. You can charge up attacks and do other things at once. So the fact that you can't do that here just makes no sense. It's like, I hate when people say like, oh, game developers are learning from mistakes, blah blah blah. No, they don't, because they don't learn from their mistakes that they can see in other fucking games, and then they go and they make the mistake. So the game developers don't learn from mistakes. They can't. They're incapable of doing that. Just like people who get married to people that they don't know. They're incapable of learning from their mistakes. Otherwise, they would marry only people who they understand. And like, it's not that like being alone isn't so bad that you should be willing to marry someone who doesn't give a fuck about you. That's retarded. And then you have these people who are like, oh, I was in a bad marriage all these years. No, you're just stupid. Like, there's a big difference. Holy shit, you can't even do the combo without being locked on with the spear. I didn't even know that. Like, you can't, like, oh my god, bro. It's the only thing with enough fucking attacks, but you can't even do, like, oh my god, they made auto tracking. It's a directional input for the fucking spear. Oh my god, and you can magically fall off. Like, there's just so much shit that's actually dope shit about this game. Holy wait, you see how microscopic his heal is? Like, why even give him a heal?
No.
It's actually stupid that they make the character not be able to swim and then they joke about it as if they couldn't have just coded this motherfucker to walk around but in a swim animation on the water. Like, it's fucking stupid. Like, don't joke about the fact that y'all could have had more content in the game, you dumb assholes. Like come on. The other game that I was going to get, other than this, was not better than this. And that's pretty fucking sad. It was called, what's the name of the game? Fuck, I forgot the name of the game. Oh, Stranger's Paradise Final Fantasy. I think that's the name. It sounds like a backwards ass name. Like, they couldn't put effort into making the name make sense. So, I have decided that I'm going to see if I can still refund this game and then refund this game. Because there's something that I want to get that I can get that is basically the exact same game except it actually has content. And it's going to be generally the same fucking game. The reason I didn't get it before was because fucking, you know, I thought this was like more of a game, but like, this isn't more of a game. This is way less of a game. Like this shit right here, this is annoying. This is how you beat everything. This is literally how you beat everything. Everything in this game, you beat it like this. This exact way. Like, the game is not a combo game. It's not a hack and slash game. You can't characterize this game as a hack and slash game. It's fucking dog shit. But I mean, I've come to the conclusion this game is ass. Like, I tried to enjoy it, and I had some fun with it. But like, Nier Automata is so much better, and I'm stuck on the first level the entire time. So the idea, the idea that like I've played this game for like 20 something hours, and bro, it's dog shit. Like it's so bad because the game's so easy for one, and people made videos shitting on the fact that this game is difficult. Like, bro, y'all are ass at video games if you think this shit's difficult. And then there's this video shitting on it not being difficult because the enemies just get tankier. Right? And then they lie and they go in and they talk about the game as if you can't get to a point where you damage them more just because the enemies are actually tanky. And it's like, it's just stupid. Because you can kill these enemies pretty fast. Like, it's not like you know what I mean? It's not like you spend 10 to 20 minutes killing one enemy. You can make killing them faster if you actually know how to play the game. But like, that's the thing, the people aren't even taking time to play the game because of how bad the game is. They're just like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm about to make 1 million views off of saying the game is something that is not. And that's actually kind of wild that they just, you know, they just lie. Like, some people actually lied about this game and got a bunch of views because no one else is making videos on the game. So, of course, we're going to watch the only video that exists if the game comes out and we want to know about the game. So, the game just did, the people who made this game just did a huge disservice to the fucking game in general. Because here's the thing that's wild, right? If they really wanted to make this better, this game better, they could just update it and add a real fucking combat system. Because people mod games all the time. People update games all the time. But I'm about to go and see if I can refund. I'm about to see if I can refund this shit really quick. And I'm going to be back. That's probably going to take me like 30 minutes. And even if I refund it and I don't get the money back, like, I don't really care at this point. Right? Like, I don't give a fuck. It's just that I don't want this game on the Xbox, and I don't want to be able to play it if I whatchamacallit. Because even games like Devil May Cry 4, Devil May Cry 5, I could download that and enjoy it real quick. But this, I'm like genuinely bored as fuck to the point where I'm just talking about random shit that I don't even give a fuck about, like a marriage.